and welcome to Family Worship at St Philip's. We're going to sing Trust in the Lord, which is one of the new songs that we've learnt this year together.
Joseph explained Pharaoh's dreams. God told him just what they meant. Released from jail, he could not fail. He followed the Lord's command. Yes, he followed the Lord's command. And I will trust in the Lord like Joseph. Trust him with all my heart. I have nothing to fear, for I know he is by my side. He's by my side. God called her to save his peace. Though she could have died, she did not hide. She followed the Lord's command. Yes, she followed the Lord's command. So I will trust in the Lord like Esther. Trust him with all my heart. I have nothing to fear, for I know that he is by my side. He's by my side. Daniel was a man of prayer. Pray only to me, God said. Though he was thrown to the lion's hole, he followed the Lord's command. Yes, he followed the Lord's command. I will trust in the Lord like Daniel. Trust him with all my heart. I have nothing to fear, for I know that he is by my side. I will trust in the Lord like Daniel. Trust him with all my heart. I have nothing to fear, for I know that he is by my side. He's by my side.
Today's story is called The Warrior Leader. After Moses died, God gave his people a new leader. His name was Joshua, which means the Lord saves. Joshua was going to lead God's people into the special land God had promised to give them. By this time, God's people had been wandering around in that baking desert for 40 years. So can you imagine how sick they were of sand and anything yellow and tents and walking and being hot? And how happy they were to reach the edge of the desert and see their beautiful new home right there in front of them. All cool and green and lovely. There was only one problem. Jericho. Jericho was a city, but it wasn't just any old city. It was a fortress, and it stopped anyone from getting into the land. The people looked at Jericho, at the big, giant, scary walls all around it, at the tall, towering ramparts, at the heavy iron gates bolted shut, at each other. What would they do? No one knew. But God knew. And God told Joshua what to do. But Joshua must have looked very surprised, because it was a very odd battle plan indeed, as we'll soon find out. Then God made his people a promise. I will be with you forever, and I will never, ever leave you. If you do what I say, your lives in the new land will be happy and everything will go well. So Joshua gathered his army together. They had their swords and spears and shields. They were ready to fight. But the plan wasn't about fighting. It was about trusting and doing what God said. Joshua's army went marching, marching, marching around the city. Day after day after day. They're too scared to fight, the people in Jericho said. But they were wrong. God's people weren't scared. They were waiting for God to tell them what to do next. On the seventh day, God told his people to march around the city, not once, but 7 times. Then God told everyone to make as much noise as they could. Has anyone ever told you to make as much noise as you possibly could? Well, imagine that noise. Add 39,999 other people making the same noise too, and you get the idea. Ear splitting. And, as it turned out too, stone splitting, because the huge, strong walls of Jericho just crumbled to the ground as if they were made of sand, and Jericho vanished in a great cloud of dust. So it was that God's people entered their new home, and they didn't have to fight to get in. They only had to walk. Joshua said, God has brought you safely here. Now will you do what he says? Everyone said, we promise. Only God can make your heart happy, Joshua said. So don't pray to pretend gods. No, they said, never. I'm afraid they didn't keep their promises. They didn't do what God said, and many years later, just as God had warned them, things would go badly for God's people. They would lose their home, enemies would capture them and take them off as slaves, and God's people would scatter into many different lands. But God's plan was still working. One day he would give his people another leader and another home. But this home, no one could ever take away from them.
I hope you enjoyed today's story. You'll find a family resource on our website which has some talking points, some ideas of how to pray together and some craft activities to do as a family. We hope you have fun. See you again next week. Bye.